Howdy everyone, and welcome to another Lupen TV video. It's been a while since the last one. Obviously, as I mentioned in my first video, I'm trying to kind of understand what to make videos on, and really that's kind of been my biggest challenge. So for this video, I mostly just want to talk about the expansion so far. We are into the 4th week now since it started, so really just excited to just talk about things that I'm liking, that I find very engaging, and maybe just my thoughts overall and like how I feel the expansion's going and where we could see it go. So what are my thoughts so far? I really think the best way to describe it, and no pun intended with kind of the backdrop I have right now, but it's really just been a breath of fresh air. Dragonflight has uniquely hit the mark on what many people were looking for as far as, at least a couple weeks in, with the first 2 weeks, at least for me, being spent leveling, doing some end zeros, and genuinely just exploring the zones. That is something that I definitely don't want to take for granted right now, is that there is a lot of hard work put into the open world content of this game and in this expansion primarily, and that is, to me at least, what I think of when I think of World of Warcraft. And I think a big part of this too has really just been the dragon flying. And it's kind of a meme in our guild, at least, like on what people think of dragon flying. But I really like it because you're engaging with the landscape in a way, as opposed to before, where I would literally just like fly, if you could even fly at this time, which is usually not the case. You hit your auto run and then you just fly in that direction and do something on your other screen. So this sort of like engaging play and having the ability to, in a way, fly. I mean, it is flying, but not to its fullest form. Has been great. And then I would say the storytelling and the music. I mean, the music and art team just always do a phenomenal job, regardless, I think, of every expansion. But I think how well that integrates with the overall feel and concept, right, of an expansion. And a great example of that is Shadowlands. Is we really didn't know why we were there. The storytelling was very fragmented. The jailer was not set up, at least well, in my opinion. But now comparing it to like a Razagath, for instance, I mean, she's like the first person villain almost you see as soon as you get to the Waking Shores. Every storyline within the zone is kind of telling a different way towards the major plot points, getting us to really the raid as of right now, and obviously alluding to some things that are going to be coming up with some of the future content updates too. But that part I really want to double down on is not just the music and art. Those are always phenomenal. It's how well you integrate the storytelling through the questing experience, through all of that makes, I feel, the difference, at least for Dragonflight so far. The renown system too, I think, is worth at least mentioning. They had taken a concept from Shadowlands, moved it over into this reputation style renown, where you're not just doing the typical friendly, honored, revered, exalted. So you feel like you're kind of working towards something a little bit by bit, with some catch-up systems in place for alts, which is really nice to see. I probably still would have preferred it, be account wide, just because if some of the renown that you unlock does give you, I think it's like 378 gear, I want to say, and eventually 395 towards the end of it. So it would be nice if you grinded it out on a main, to have that gear accessible to your alts. But with the 100% buff increase after you reach level 10 for each of the factions, that makes it very easy, just to be clear, to kind of get those up pretty quickly. But all in all, I do think it's a good, well-balanced system that kind of gives a little bit of a carrot on the end of the stick with some, plot points in there, because you do unlock some more of the storytelling as part of the renown. The bottom line, I would say, so far now, 3-4 weeks in, is you really don't feel like you need to be on. And there's an asterisk, next to that statement, obviously, with season 1 just having started last week, and you can begin the so-called infinite grinds, right, of spamming Mythic Plus to get as much gear as you can. But the return on your time is not, in my opinion, worth that. I know there's going to be people that sweat and do that. More power to you if that's what you enjoy in the game. But I like getting my vault cleared up and looking good before, and then maybe focusing on some alts or doing some stuff in the guild, whatever it might be. Dungeon pool does seem pretty good so far. They are still doing quite a bit of tuning. I do think someone in our guild brought up the fact that they've waited on tuning the dungeons purposely because of the Race to World First. If it was too easy to do the dungeons, at least for these first 2 weeks, you would probably see a lot of the World First raiders spamming Mythic Plus more than they are currently. So I do think that is very much purposeful, and they already did a huge passive tuning with Tyrannical starting this week. So I'm interested to see how it goes. I definitely think things like Ruby Life Pools, and I know the one boss in Algathar's Academy, and people are saying it's just completely toxic. So I think they'll continue to change that. But as of recording this video, I think Liquid and Echo are both at least into phase 2 consistently, last I checked, for Razagath. So hoping that one of them, if not both of them, gets the kill before Christmas so people can spend time with their families. They've also implemented the same thing with the whole Valor cap and Conquest cap per week, which kind of limits your, quote unquote feeling you need to be on, because there is not that infinite grind of getting the high end plus score or grinding all of that Conquest for PvP gear. So those portions of it I really do like. And obviously too, now they have Solo Shuffle being ranked, which has been great just to be able to hop in if people aren't on for me to play with, or even others. And then the raid by itself too, it feels fantastic. The aesthetic hits on it, and just going back to our point about the music, art, storytelling, right? All of those things. I think it once again hits the nail on the head, so far with it. Now we're 7 of 8 normal, and we've seen, I'm going to say, almost half of Razagath so far. So interested to see the second half of the fight. We've killed a couple bosses in Heroic. We're going to be going back in tonight to kill a couple more. But overall, I mean, it's still a little early on, and we obviously have some content ahead of us to get to. But I'm very excited with just where the expansion's gone so far. It really does feel good, and it feels like a new era of WoW. Just on how they're handling things, how quick they are to react to things. I mean, we saw this a bit before the expansion launched, and all of us, I think, we're not really holding our breath because we know Blizzard, we know how this goes, but I have to give them credit where credit's due. They've so far been consistent these last couple weeks with Dragonflight. And that is the key, right? It's the consistency piece. It's not we release a bunch of content and don't touch it and tune it, and then come back 7 weeks later and then finally tune it. No, every single week, every single day, I'm getting notifications on my phone of Wowhead posts of them responding to things or saying that, this is how we need to address them. I think Solo Shuffle's been a big one where, healers leaving and they say, well, this is what we're looking into. This is how we hope to address it, because they're looking for that feedback before they just implement some wide change. So last one I just kind of wanted to highlight was just the profession system, and overall my thoughts. This has been a bit of a pain point, and overall I think it at least is it's executed well, and you can really see from the profession system this whole concept of time gating and borrowed power systems, like all of the energy I feel like that was put into Legion weapons, the Heart of Azeroth, or even the tokens with it that you would use to Azerite power gear. Or even most recently with Shallans, with Covenants, with Conduits and Soulbinds and all of that. All of that seems to have kind of flowed into and energy put into professions, which I'm okay with, honestly. I think people are used to getting max level in professions week 1, being able to craft everything week 1. And that's fine if you can't. And I think it helps drive the market in a good way within the game. And this concept they had of individuals being known on the realm because they specialize in the elemental lariat, which is the necklace. They've accomplished that, I think, through this. Now there's definitely been some bugs. They've had to change some things and turn off even in some cases some things, but overall I'm pleased with it. And if you don't know, one of the things you can do is, I think it's the Legacy of Tyr, or those quests that you get the sparks from. Those sparks can be used then to upgrade your gear, or not even upgrade, craft your gear, and then you can further upgrade it with things like Primal Infusions from the Raid or Mythic Plus. So I really do feel like the system is working well. If you were not able to get those items to be able to craft gear, they probably feel differently, but as of right now, I could level a character right to 70. I could craft two items as long as I had the necessary reagents, which is fine. And you could almost have a raid ready tune. Even one of our guild leader just re-rolled, and he was able to catch up within a couple days, which once again, if you're willing to spend the gold, if you're willing to commit the time, I think that's a totally fair system. So I'm sure they're going to learn a lot from it, but overall I'm very excited about it, and I definitely think that like I said, it meets their kind of overall goal. Just like with any new system though, it's going to get tweaked. Look at every single system we saw: artifact weapons, the Heart of Azeroth, Covenants and all that, right? It's going to continue to be iterated on, but it's not tied directly to your player power, right? Yes, if you're crafting, but I think that's a big piece to mention here too, is like, you don't have to do any of these things. In the previous expansions, you had to get your heart up, you had to get your artifact weapon, you had to get artifact power, right? All of that. So So yeah, that's pretty much it. I kind of free flowed a little bit on this one. Hope everyone at least enjoyed my initial thoughts. Like I said, I know it's been a while since I've done a video. It really just takes me sitting down and doing these and just getting it done, as opposed to quickly just picking up the game and playing. I'm sure I threw some footage behind here too of me playing and different things. I know one of my next videos that I want to do is just kind of like how I organize my time within the game. I love organization. I love spreadsheets, for those of you that know me, and I want to go over at least what I use, which is a task system called Todoist, where people always say, you always play a million alts, like how can you do that? And really, it's not that difficult if you have a proper task management system. And I sound like I'm in a work mode right now, but that's truly it. And I take the same approach for everything in my personal life too, because it's tough to juggle everything, and it's very easy to log onto this game, and then next thing you know, it's like 6 hours later, right? So yeah, overall, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are enjoying Dragonflight too. I'm very much looking forward to kind of what the next steps are. We've already seen things like Chris Metzen get announced coming back as creative advisor, and they just put out this awesome graphic too, Blizzard did, on all of the content updates we should expect for the year. And I'm sure those timelines are going to get shifted a bit, but the fact that they're at least putting that out there just gives me so much hope for this game and the direction that the company is going now after everything it's been through. So yep, overall, hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.